All right. So I've decided to every week to post a video on certain subject that I've perhaps had to do some more thinking about, or there's been a little bit of a challenge. My little one is resting here, so I have to hurry before he wakes up. So I thought I'll share kind of what I've arrived at and what my experience has been. Instead of just kind of doing an update and being a bit scatty, I thought that I'll kind of bring different subjects to just one videos, and sometimes there'll be part 2, part 3 as perhaps my experience changes or progresses. So as Ollie had his third round of vaccinations on Wednesday, I thought, and it's been quite fresh in my mind, I thought our first subject can be vaccinations. I know there's been quite a lot going on with that. Hey, baby. And there's lots of different opinions on this subject. So what I'm gonna do is just share my journey of thinking about vaccinations and my opinions about it. And this is exactly what it is. It's just my opinion. Okay, I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. This is just a simple opinion of a mother, and hopefully if you kind of deciding what to do, this will just help you find a little bit more clarity and help you to make a decision, whatever it is. It might make you make a different decision than I made, or it might make you to make the same decision, but it doesn't matter. It's hopefully it'll help you to perhaps look at the best places for more information. So me and vaccinations has been quite a journey, actually. So obviously I am vaccinated because when I was born, that's just what happened. I've had no side effects as far as I'm aware. And my mom said I responded to vaccinations fine. But as I was, growing up, so when I was kind of a young adult, the report came out about the vaccination causing autism, and I haven't really looked into it deeply. I mean, it was in official publication. The journalist did a really good job on reporting it, in that it was very well written, although maybe not completely accurate. It kind of missed out important bits, like how many people was the study done on, and whether it was peer reviewed or not, and all this kind of stuff. It's just made it a big sensation. And I didn't really look into it. I just believed it. And there was obviously big outcry about it, and there was lots of campaigns and stuff, to stop vaccinations, or to look into it more. And there was lots of people who decided not to vaccinate anymore because they were afraid of that, what the link will do. And I was completely on board of that. I was like, no, when I have kids, I'm definitely not gonna vaccinate, and it's full of this and full of that, and it's not good for us, and those diseases don't exist anymore, and all this kind of stuff. And I kind of really, there was lots of conspiracy theories coming through, and some of them kind of made sense, so I believed them. And really, it wasn't until very recently when I started to think, I don't know, I'm a bit more on the fence. And then when I became pregnant, pardon me, I really looked into it, because I thought, well, now I actually have to make the decisions. I'll have to decide whether I'm going to vaccinate my child or not. So I looked into the research, the actual medical research. I've seen some documentaries. I've researched some peer-reviewed articles. And I've realized there's been so much research done since that report to basically disprove it, and on really big numbers of people. And the findings are very consistent in that there is no direct link between vaccinations and autism. And also, actually, thanks to this research and stuff, there's been reviews done to the actual vaccines, and they have changed. So especially in England, like what's actually in them, it's monitored, and there is there are some chemicals to help it to kind of stay put together in the right balance, but actually it's not as bad as we made to think. And it's if there are any harmful chemicals, it is such a minute amounts. We actually get much more of those chemicals into our body in our food, like fish. So because of the pollution in the seas and stuff, actually it really doesn't make that much difference. And really what the recent outbreaks shown, the outbreaks of measles in states specifically, is that if you don't have that herd immunity, the disease can come back, and it can kill people. It can kill people who are the most vulnerable, or it can definitely cause even really bad harm, disabilities. And the thing is, we need to be aware that even if we live in a country that's relatively safe, because of the free movement around the world, there are people who traveling out to all sorts of countries where perhaps vaccinations are not that common or accessible, and coming back. And then you have people from those countries also traveling here. So there's, lots of opportunities nowadays to contract diseases that in Europe have been wiped out. And even if you don't become ill with it because you had been vaccinated, you can still be a carrier. You can still bring it in, so to speak. And I made the decision to vaccinate my child for all the NIH's provided vaccinations, because he is vulnerable. He is very little, his immune system is still building up, and if he was to contract a disease like measles, it could be extremely dangerous to him. Actually, he is still vulnerable to it until he's fully covered at 2 years old. So if there is no herd immunity, that disease could come back, and that could put him in danger. I'm not happy about that. I don't want him to be in danger, nor I want other babies to be in danger, especially children who cannot have vaccinations because the immune system is already compromised through all sorts of illnesses, childhood cancer and all that kind of stuff. These kids can't have the vaccinations. We need to protect them by providing that herd immunity and eliminating those diseases. And as you can see, they can come back. So for me, this has become a no-brainer, really, and I wish it wasn't necessary, but I feel like it is. I'm still on the fence when it comes to HPV and flu, chickenpox jabs. I think they have their place, for people who are quite vulnerable, and for whom contracting the flu disease could be dangerous. But I think they just don't seem to have, to me, complete benefits, especially like flu jabs that that viruses constantly change and mutate. So there is not really 100% protection, even if you get a jab. And with the chickenpox, if you have the vaccine, you don't have a protection for life, which you do have kind of 99% of the time if you contract the disease as a child. And the thing is, if you get the virus of chickenpox when you're older as an adult, it can cause all sorts of issues. It's actually a much harder process, and men specifically, it can actually use infertility and infertility. So it's, it's not completely safe disease. Like, that's not what I'm saying. It's not like having a cold, but it's safe for most people. So I think as long as your immune system is quite strong and you're generally healthy person, I don't think you need that. But again, that's just my opinion. And it seems to be the opinion of the NHS as well, because it's not available on NHS just yet. So they obviously feel that it's not necessary, wouldn't be financially viable. So yeah, this is why I am vaccinating my child, to protect him and to protect other children that are vulnerable and that need it. And these are my reasons why, because the science shows that actually, and the experience shows, I mean, look at the Measles in States, shows that it is necessary, and that is a good reason why we do this. And yeah, throw the stones. This is not, if you choose not to vaccinate, there's nothing we can do about it. I just hope that your decision will not turn against you, and that you will and your loved ones will be okay, and that because of your decision no one else will suffer. I really hope that's gonna be the case, and I'll take the risk of vaccinating my child, and so far he's been doing pretty good. His reaction's been pretty mild, there is no change in him because of the vaccinations. And obviously, as I said, there will probably be video 2 and 3 on this subject as time progresses, but so far so good. So let's see how that goes. All right, so until next week, take care.